Welcome to the Rethink and Return podcast. My name is Jason Shepard. Every week, we rethink things and return to God's original intention and His design. We generally do 2 recordings a week. One, we revisit a passage of Scripture that thousands of people are studying together in a Sunday gathering or in a house church, and we're just going to dig more deeply into these things that we didn't get to talk about enough or want to talk about more that we're wrestling with. And then we do another recording where we're just working out leadership things, being a pastor and ministry or leading stuff, and wrestling with tensions of how we live like that in our world today. So we'd love for you to like this, subscribe to it, share it with other people. Enjoy the podcast. We'll see you soon. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Rethink and Return podcast. I'm Jason. This is Dave. We sit around and talk about the Bible, and then sometimes we talk about some leadership stuff. We are getting ready to get back into a book of the Bible that a lot of us will study through together, but at this Christmas season, we've been pressing more deeply into the incarnation, and this week was a little bit different, where we're looking at the context in which the incarnation entered. Like, God intentionally chose a specific time and place and other factors that He entered into, I think, to prove to us the existential prowess of the gospel, that it is overpowering even any environment that we get into. So we're going to jump into this today. Dave, thanks for being with me.
Always glad to be here.
Me too. I'm always glad you're here, man. So we were just saying before this, a couple weeks ago, I was sort of in like a zombie state. So I just sat down before it, and I'm like, Dave, just carry it.
Right.
I'm less zombie today, but I'm still need some help. So
I'm
thanks
always
for leading
glad to ride shotgun with you every week, man. It's great fun. And I loved what you did Sunday, because you took, and we're all kind of had this task as preachers. You take something, a story that everybody knows,
Yeah.
the Christmas story, but you really isolated the whole aspect of joy. And I think that's really important, because I think people struggle with joy because of what they believe. They have false beliefs that go with it. But I thought it might be good, before we talk about that, just to set it up and talk about, how you set this whole thing up in terms of, the significant truths of God are revealed through.
Yeah.
And then we can look at the things that people say about joy. I think people have a misconception about what joy is and where it's found, and this is what triggers all these things that people say.
Well, I mean, I will see sometimes, the peace, hope, love, joy for Advent stuff put up somewhere, and I'm like, why are we doing that? For me, this passage, it was just next in Luke that we've been studying through for this Christmas season. We've been looking at the incarnation through the eyes of Luke's gospel. And so what happened here is the angel, I didn't come up with this idea, the angel, when he announced the gospel, the giving of the Messiah for salvation, he co-mingled it with joy. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a co-mingling of joy with our salvation here, which is why we have to address it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't, isolate a word joy, but I found it really peculiar. Maybe this time, more than any other time I've ever preached this passage, I just saw, in the announcement, I'm going to bring you this message, and it's going to be accompanied by joy. Mm-hmm. And then I'm thinking, wow, the context in which the angels are delivering this evangelion, this gospel, this good news, that context is riddled with things that we would say compete against our own joy. And so the context by which the angels say, hey, here's the good news coming to you, and it's coming with joy, that context, we would say, that context doesn't work for me. I got the good news, I got the gospel, but I don't have joy because of these things. And so I just isolated what these things were, the context in which this gospel was delivered to us, and joy was independent of those things.
Right. And so I think that is important, because what do you think that most people think of when they hear the word joy?
I saw like some weird cartoon movie about all the different emotions, because I had kids, and so I think of joy from the cartoon. I can't remember the name, thank God. And then, but I mean, I think of, like a shallow little songs from when I was little. I guess they weren't shallow then, but I mean, I think of like, the children's church that I was in growing up, which isn't a good memory for me. It's like, Father Abraham and like the church that I was in, it had like these mustard yellow stained glass or, panes. Right. And so like it was always like a yellow hue in the church. And I'm like, I I feel depressed, man.
Right. Mine had green paint. Like the walls were like that mental institution green.
Yeah.
And mingled with the smell of like old donuts.
All right.
Those are my
Yeah,
Sunday
see,
school
right?
memories.
So, yeah, we were talking about joy, and that's what I think of, stuff like that.
Right.
But, I mean, I really do think, I really think that this is the thing. I mean, Jesus said, I'm going to bring you peace. I mean, in this very passage, he's like, I'm going to bring you peace, and I'm going to bring you salvation that it is accompanied by joy. I think that's what everybody's looking for, frankly. I think that's why the angel was like, I'm bringing you salvation, and it's going to be accompanied with joy. Salvation is the thing you need eternally to begin your eternal life now. That's going to last forever.
That's right.
You need it, and the thing that you're looking for in this world the most, is joy.
Right.
And so I'm just letting you know, I'm taking care of you eternally with your salvation, and every desire on the planet I'm going to give you here, which is joy. I mean, that's why I said the poorest and the wealthiest and the healthiest and the sickest, like you can have joy regardless of your circumstance. And so I think we need to look at the context that joy was delivered to,
right,
when the Messiah was brought to us.
So good.
And then dispel the argument that we can't have joy because of that context.
Right.
All right, so context one.
Context one, what you said, joy is not dependent upon government. And I think a lot of people will say, well, I would have joy if the leadership was better. If the people that led me and led the country, then I would have joy.
100%. I mean, there are times that I have thought that. I mean, so Luke chapter 2, verse 1 says, there's a decree from Caesar.
Right.
Not a good dude.
Right.
Not good for God's people. I mean, somehow the economy was a little bit better, but there were so many things that were worse. The economy was better for some people. It wasn't better for all. The government was oppressive. Like, depending upon which way you land on things, every other 4 years or every other 8 years or whatever, you're like,
right,
the government's good or it's not good. And the news that we watch and the things that are said. And I'm just like, man, if our joy is dependent upon us liking our government, I mean, I think this gospel is for the whole world. Mm-hmm. And every country I've been to, dozens and dozens of countries that I've been to, have been led by a government. Most of them not nearly as good as ours.
Right.
And ours is never all good.
Right.
And if it's not possible to have joy because of a bad government, bad officials, then nowhere in the world can have joy. Mm. And so if we start believing the lie that we can't be full of joy, like I would say joy is at least, it's a deep satisfaction in the soul.
Yeah.
Like there's something just so satisfied in my soul. Like for me, peace would almost be a deep settling in my soul. Mm-hmm. So peace, I'm just settled in my soul. But joy is, I'm just deeply satisfied in my soul.
Yeah.
And so I want to be settled in my soul. Man, I need it. Like right now, I've heard 2 or 3 people the last few days that have just been like, I cannot wait for 2025 to be over. And we all know that the calendar doesn't do a whole lot for us,
magic,
but just mentally it ticks something off. And God did make years, seasons, days, weeks. So I do like the new year idea for that. But man, I just know, I had a saying for 2025. I've come up with it, you know. Mm-hmm. I remember I was in this meeting one time with these great leaders a long time ago, and this guy was telling the story of the church that he led. And he said, 2008 was not so great. And he had a story with it.
Right.
That was tough. And so, you know, for me, I'm like, I barely stayed alive in 2025.
Right.
So that's my saying. I may refine that. It just came recently.
I think that's good.
But, you know, I do think that there is joy that can supersede whatever our circumstances are. And we have to make sure that we know if Jesus brought joy with him into Caesar's government.
That's right.
Then joy is possible in any government that we're sitting under.
That's right. And even when you're disappointed in whatever officials or whatever leadership, you can still find joy.
I hope so.
I mean, I think a lot of people think that joy is external, so they look to external, they look to people, and
That's right.
and our country is constantly upset because of politics. People are setting stuff on fire and losing their minds.
Yeah.
And the Christmas story, it says joy comes into those situations, not because of them.
That's right.
Right? Joy is manifested in those situations in the midst of Caesar being not so good dude and doing what he did.
Yeah.
Joy comes right into that.
Yeah, it came into Caesar, it came into Herod, who's going to be, what kind of a government leader would slaughter every male boy under 2 years old?
Right.
What in the world? For his own self-protection.
Yeah.
And so, like, the world, the governing world that Jesus entered into, he put himself under this government leadership. His parents were immediately affected by it. His extended family immediately affected by it. His life had some parameters put on it because of that. We have to make sure that we're not believing the lie.
Yeah.
That if I could decide the human establishment that leads me, I'd have joy.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so that was...
The next one is, if God would fulfill my plans and purposes, I would have joy. This is more of a kind of internal thing that you dealt with.
That's right.
If God would just do what I need him to do. I just had a conversation with someone just like who said almost the same thing. If my purposes were fulfilled, I would have more joy.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think often about this in my own life. I mean, we're all considering, like, our story, what matters, you know? Like, am I making a difference? Am I fulfilling my purpose? Why am I here? Like, what should I do with my life? I mean, I find very few people that haven't wrestled deeply with these questions and don't, on an ongoing basis, have some wrestling and some tension and some curiosity about it. I mean, I really know that most people struggle with this. And I talked about Joseph. It said that he went from Caesar's decree because he was of the house and lineage of David. Yeah. Luke chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. And so there's this long story leading up to Joseph's life. And that story included a lot of prophets, a lot of prophecies, and God's long plan of bringing salvation into the world. And Joseph just dipped his toe in it for a minute. Yeah. Like, he just stepped in, and then he's dead. Yeah. And I think if we're trying to make our life matter from our own story, our own success, our own significance, I mean, we're never gonna be satisfied. Our own story just can't satisfy us. Right. I mean, we have heard stories of people, and it blows our minds, like somebody commits suicide or somebody just blows up their life. We see great people who've been given so much, and then they get lost to addictions or horrible decisions. And at the end of the day, my story doesn't actually satisfy my own soul. Yeah. My story isn't significant enough. But if I join my story with the story, like Joseph did here, his story just stepped into the long story of God. Yeah. It was before him. It was beyond him. Yeah. You know, it's bigger than him. Yeah. So it's before, beyond, bigger. Like, Joseph just stepped into that story, and now his life has significance. And I really think that if people are putting their joy in their own significance, I don't think you're going to find it there. But if you do think, my great joy is joining my life with the work of God, the long game work of God, that's where I find significance. Yeah. I mean, my life on its own just doesn't have enough significance to satisfy me.
How would you tell someone a way that they could participate in God's plan? How does someone go, how do I take my story and join it to God's greater story? Like, what would be some ways, some suggestions you think that people could do that?
You know, I heard an OG preacher a long time ago. It was this guy, his name was Ron Dunn. I'm talking old school. That is a blast from the past. Southern Baptist preacher at these churches where I worked, right? So this guy came in and preached at this church where I was working, and I was a youth pastor there, and I was just dying, you know. And he preached to, I don't know, a couple thousand people in the room that night, and I worked at the church, and I went up to him, and I said, hey, can I get a lunch with you? Yeah. And for whatever reason, the dude said yes. And I was I was hoping he would buy because I was so poor, man. I was like 21,
Wow.
22, and so I was wrestling with some things, some call on my life or whatever, and he said words. I mean, I'm 52 now. 30 years ago that I remember, he said, "Sit loose in the saddle, son. It's not your job to discover God's will. It's God's job to reveal his will to you. All you need to do is listen and obey."
Wow.
And so, I remember that, he's like, "Sit loose in the saddle, son."
Yeah.
Maybe I was keyed up in the conversation, but he could tell I had a lot of angst.
Yeah.
It's not your job to discover God's will. It's God's job to reveal his will to you. Your job is to listen and obey.
Yeah.
And so I would say this, for somebody who's like, what does God want me to do? I believe that God is moving us toward that all the time.
Yeah.
If we'll watch, if we'll listen, if we'll obey,
Yeah.
we're going to get there. I do not believe God is doing this. Come find my will. I've hidden it from you.
Right. That's right.
Come find my invitation. I hope you find it before you die.
Yeah.
I think that God is there, like the next yes, and the next. I've told young pastors for a long time. I'm like, the final thing you want to do is not the next thing you're gonna do. Like the next thing you're going to do is not the last thing you're going to do.
Right.
You're going to say a lot of yeses to things that aren't the big thing you want to do.
That's a good word.
And so just keep saying the next yes that God puts in front of you. And at some point you learn what to say yes to and no to, but you need to always be saying yes to something.
Right.
And so, I mean, it may be serving in kids ministry on a Sunday.
Right.
Or maybe going and feeding homeless under a bridge, or welcoming a prisoner off the street, or discipling one person one-on-one.
That's right.
I mean, there is the next yes that God has already been asking people to do.
Yeah.
And when you say that yes, you and I have seen it, that yes just keeps compounding.
That's right.
You say the next yes and the next yes, and before you know it, like a whole life is built for you. One of our new elders here many years ago, as they were meeting here, I just had a conversation with them about how long they had been here, what they were engaged in, and I just gave a little bit of a challenge to them. Well, he said yes to the next thing, and then yes to the next thing, and to the next thing, and like all of a sudden now the guy's like leading an incredible house church for years and serving in a ministry, and now he's on the board of that ministry, and now he's an elder. You know what I'm saying? Like these things just keep compounding, and the people that I know that are finding deep satisfaction in the story of God, like they had a lot of yeses that seemed insignificant way back then, but God kept compounding those yeses into a significant part of his story.
That's powerful. I think that's great advice for someone who thinks that their last yes is going to be their only yes.
That's right.
You just keep doing it. Like when you say that, I think about me. Like I didn't have a plan. I just said yes to the call of God, and then that led me to travel with guys, and that led me to my own opportunities, and it just kept escalating.
That's right.
And that's the way you do it. Like you let whatever your one yes takes you to the next yes.
That's right.
So
my story's not significant enough. It's not going to satisfy me. I want to join God's long story here. That's what Joseph did.
Yeah.
And and that's where he found his joy. Yeah.
Right. So we're talking, if someone's been on their phone or checking eBay, let me just tell everyone, we're talking about the lies that people believe about joy, because we said you can't conquer what you won't confront. So we have to bring the lies to the surface and then let the Word of God speak to that. So the next one was, if I could be in complete control of my situation, I'd have joy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it is wild here in verse 5 of Luke chapter 2. A decree was made, a census was taken. He belonged to the house and line of David. He was told where to go, when to go there, who to take with him. This guy had so many things decided for him that he didn't decide for himself. And that was just by the government. I mean, God himself decided some things for him. Hey, you're gonna marry this girl.
Yeah.
You're gonna father this baby that you didn't help make. You're gonna name him this. I mean, all these decisions were made for Joseph by God and by government.
You're right.
And still, he's about to find his greatest joy. And if we think, and man, I've wrestled with this a lot in my life. If I could just make my choices completely autonomous without any other outside factors affecting me, then I would have more joy. if I could just be in charge of my life without all these other things that I have responsibility for or that affect me, I would have more joy. And joy was brought into a situation of many decisions beyond Joseph's control. I mean, especially for me, my personality, I want to be. I'm fine being in charge of my life. I don't need anybody else to do it.
Right.
And so I have to wrestle with that. So God reminds me all the time that I'm not in charge of a whole lot. He's entrusted some things to me to help make some decisions, but I'm not completely autonomous here, man. And there are outside factors that affect me. That there are decisions that are made for me. I mean, where we're born, when we're born, the culture, the family, the color of our skin, all these things are actually decided for us.
Yeah.
And we just think, if I could decide all those things, I would have done a better job and life would be better. And so Joseph somehow was about to be full of joy, even though he was really not nearly in charge of his own situation.
Right. And that's true with us. Like, we're not nearly as in control as we think we are.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you say to the inner part of you that wants to be in control all the time? Like, how do you negotiate that tension? Like you're good at leading your life, you're good at leading a church, right? You could do all those things in your
Depends
sleep.
on who you ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we don't worry
Yeah.
about that. We don't worry about those people.
Don't say that.
So we don't worry about it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you say to that inner part of you that wants to control? Like, maybe some people watching, they're trying to control something that's already been decided. Maybe they're
Totally.
fighting the wrong battle.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that's.
I mean, this is the spiritual journey that we're on, right? Of sanctification towards submission. Like, this is whatever we have a stronghold with in our own soul, the good Spirit of God is going to sanctify it out of us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the Spirit of God is going to sanctify that out of us.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, over the years, this long game of sanctification that the Spirit of God has done in my life, man, He has gotten me to a place of, as He does for all of us, just to help us realize I'm not in charge here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really controlling everything as much as I want to. So God will do it, you know. He'll keep doing this in our life. He's just good. He's gracious.
So good.
He does
That's
it
a great
gently.
Answer. Yeah.
You know, He keeps doing it. He keeps refining us. And so, yeah, we will get to a place to where we realize, if my joy is dependent upon my own sovereignty, I'm in trouble.
Right. And also, I think the other side of this is that you can't spend your time blaming circumstances.
That's really good.
Like, Joseph could have gone, well, this would have gone a lot better had it not been for Caesar and
You're
had
right.
it not been for the, wherever. Like,
You're
I think we got people that blame their circumstances.
Totally.
And that's a joy stealer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So.
Things that they didn't choose for themselves.
Right.
Hard things, for sure.
Right.
But can we still have joy? I mean, I think, again, this passage is telling us, the announcement at the end of the passage is, hey, I just brought salvation co-mingled with joy into this situation. That's the announcement at the end.
Right.
Here's
Yes.
the context, boom, 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 that we're going through. And the announcement at the end is, I brought salvation co-mingled with joy into that situation.
Right.
Yeah, so
stop blaming your circumstances,
That's right.
using it as a reason. I think people can stay in a state of living without joy because they just think that circumstances should have gone differently for them.
Well, and I mean, I'm sympathetic to a lot of pain that a lot of people have gone through. I don't think those things are joyful in and of themselves, but we do have to believe, right, that I can have joy even when my circumstances have been hard, which I think leads into the next thing.
That's right.
About the circumstances.
And the next false belief is, if God would make certain that my life was a little easier, I'd have joy.
Totally.
If my life would just go a little bit easier,
Yeah.
I would have joy.
I mean, it says in verse 5, Mary, his betrothed with child in a manger, no room in the inn.
Right.
I mean,
look at these
here's
words.
the things that blow my mind about this are how God elected to not use His sovereignty, how God elected to not apply His sovereignty in this situation. Like, very simple things. And I joked yesterday, like, we get mad if God didn't open up a parking lot at the front door next to Nordstrom's.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Parking favor.
yeah, like, Thank you. I thank Jesus, Joel, and Jason when I get a front row spot, Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Joel. Best life now. Thank you, Jason, for finding that spot.
That's right.
And so I think this situation that Joy was brought into, you're engaged to a woman who's having a baby that you didn't make. All of your friends back home, they think you're an idiot that you believe her. Her friends think she's, whatever. Her parents are ashamed, and how in the world can they believe her?
Sure.
I wouldn't believe. If my daughter came to me and said that, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, it just wouldn't work. And so they've left their home. They didn't get the wedding that they were planning on. They've lost friends and family. They've lost their own reputation. And on top of that, like riding a donkey, 9 months pregnant, through Middle Eastern Israeli terrain, which I've been to a lot, and it's hard. And God could have been like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a nice room. I know it's been tough."
Right.
I would have been expecting.
Right. I'm gonna give you an upgrade.
Hey, God, I'm Mary. I'm gonna be venerated by a lot of people.
Right.
I think I'm doing you a favor. Maybe I'm carrying the holy begotten Son of God. Surely I get a room, like maybe even an upgraded room. But dude, not even a room in the inn.
Right.
And so God brought salvation, co-mingled with joy, into a circumstance where he didn't apply his sovereignty to make it easier.
Right. I told the boys yesterday when we were taking communion that all of Scripture was written in difficult circumstances.
Yeah.
Everybody that wrote any part of the Bible, they were written in caves, on the backside of deserts, from prison.
That's right.
Nobody had it easy
to
receive the Word of God.
Yeah.
Like nobody in Scripture had it easy. Even Solomon and David still wrote in the midst of pain.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you said something yesterday. You said, I've seen rich, unhappy people, poor, unhappy people, healthy, unhappy people.
Yeah.
And it just proves that you could have things go your way and still not have joy, right? That's really what's behind that lie. Like, there are some people's lives that everything's going their way and they're still not happy.
Yeah, you're right. I've seen people whose life, they should be the happiest people on the planet, but they're not because they don't have joy.
Yeah.
And then I've seen rich, unhappy, and poor happy. I've seen healthy, unhappy, and unhealthy happy. Mm-hmm. And I think what makes happiness happen in the middle of these circumstances is actually an abiding joy, an underlying joy.
Yeah.
And, this right now is something that God's working out in my life. When you have certain circumstances that are difficult, do you still have joy?
Yeah.
And so this is one of the things, this sermon, I like to, say, as you would agree, like a sermon is first being preached to me.
Sure.
That's how it becomes living for me.
That's right.
It lives in me. Like, everybody gets it once. I've been in it, like, I've preached this to myself a dozen times this week.
Yeah, that's right.
So the Lord is going, hey, this is for you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Circumstances are hard right now. Does joy still accompany your salvation?
Yeah.
And I would say, no, it hasn't. And that's wrong. I've been wrong. Wow. So there's some gospel perspective that I have not been holding on to that's stolen some joy from me.
Wow.
So salvation was co-mingled with joy in circumstances that were very difficult, that God could have made easy, but he didn't.
Yeah, right. And there was still joy. I think this is for me, the power of the sermon is that when you voice all of these false beliefs, that they're false because there's still joy in the midst of
That's right.
all of these things. Mm-hmm. And so we're talking about, in case someone is on FanDuel right now, we're talking about the false.
End of the year for Dave. He's going off the
false beliefs that people have about joy. And the next one is, if God would assure me of the outcome, I would have joy. I can think of 10 people right now that this is what they believe.
Yeah, well, I would obey him and have joy. Yeah. Like, if I knew that my obedience was going to give me the outcome I wanted.
Yeah, then I'd do it.
And the thing about Joseph, like, again, still in verse 5, he was with Mary, who was betrothed and with child. Like, when Joseph found this out, the story is, I mean, it's devastating. Like if we take a moment and sit in the scripture and just imagine the moment where Mary goes to Joseph and says, I have something to tell you. We know it didn't go well because Joseph, he didn't believe her.
Yeah.
And so for a young teenage girl who has loved God very well and loved her fiance very well, and she's lived rightly, to go and tell Joseph this, it devastated him. But he loved her so much, and he was such an honorable dude.
Yeah.
He was going to put her, like, he didn't want to shame her. He already knew there's going to be a lot of shame. I mean, so this guy, his love for her, like, I don't want to shame you because I know you're about to get so much shame, even though you've done this to me. That's what's in Joseph's mind until an angel comes and tells him later. We don't know how long later. Exactly. I mean, hours, days.
Yeah.
And an angel comes and tells him, hey, dude, she's telling you the truth. And he didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. He sure didn't want it, but he just obeyed. Yeah. The angel's like, marry her, be the father to this child, and that's already been conceived, and name him this. Joseph's like, done. Like, right. The radical obedience of Joseph is what actually led him into great joy. And we think, I'll obey, I'll radically obey you if I know the outcome's going to be good.
Right.
But we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus said, you want to follow me, deny yourself, take up your cross and follow me. It says that Jesus became obedient to death.
That's right.
Even death on a cross.
That's right.
And so our obedience may not lead us in the direction of happiness, but it does say, for the joy set before him, Jesus endured the cross.
Yeah.
I mean, joy's attached to it's attached to the cross, man.
Yeah.
And so it's not a children's church song word that doesn't have just such infinite meaning. It's co-mingled here with our gospel. And so, I think the thing that we have to carry away from this is that radical joy will accompany our radical obedience.
Right.
Joseph got joy he never expected by just radically obeying the Lord.
Yeah. And I think that, the point is like, he didn't know how it was going to turn out. Mm-mm. He didn't know he was going to be in the Gospels and
that's right.
There was going to be a story written about him. He just, like, when you read the gospel account, every time Joseph was told to obey in those verses, it says that night.
That's right.
That moment.
That's right.
Like there wasn't like, well, God, no, wait a minute, I'll do this. But it just said that when the angel spoke that night, he got him up and headed off. Right.
That's right.
They were a quick obey. He was a quick obeyer.
Oh, that's why I like to say, if you delay, you will likely not obey.
Right. And you used a principle yesterday that I wanted you to talk about, that you said, obedience opens the pathway for greater joy. And I thought that was, like, I wrote that in my notes when I was listening to you yesterday, that obedience opens the pathway for greater joy. And I don't think people really believe that.
No, I mean, we do have our own plan to pursue joy.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that plan for us to pursue our own joy, what we think will provide joy, is not God's path for us.
Yeah.
The only way we know God's path for us is just radical obedience.
That's right.
And we keep that radical obedience over time just keeps turning us into the direction that no, go here.
Yep.
It just gets us right in line.
Yeah.
And so I do believe this, that radical obedience produces the greatest joy. And I believe that disobedience reduces joy.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that.
Wow.
Now, I mean, in some ways, it's like old school obedience, right? But I mean, the obedience is, Jesus has said, if you love me, you'll obey me.
That's right.
So we just trust him so much, we'll obey. And I love that Joseph just obeyed, had no idea what was going on, but he knew God said it, and he did it.
And unseen. I think we have a lot of people probably that are being extremely obedient that no one ever knows it.
Nobody in his life knew it, but he and maybe Mary.
And so when we talk about, these false lies, the next one was these false beliefs. If things would happen when I need them to happen, I would have joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If things would just happen when I need them to happen,
Yeah.
then I would have joy. Things would just go my way right now.
My time.
Yes.
I mean, this passage, this verse 6, while they were there, the time came for her to give birth. I mean, this idea of time is a really wild attribute. It's here created for us by God. I mean, God is timeless. He's eternal. So we don't have reference points for this. Like we have no reference point to try to explain to somebody an uncreated creator, like never not existing. I remember growing up, I was young. I may have been like 8 or 9 or 10 years old when I was wrestling through this idea of eternity past. And I would remember every night I would see the sunset, and it would start to set in like almost a depressive state for me, because I'm like, I can't understand time. Another day's gone. And I was trying to, at the same time, reconcile eternity past, even that young. And I don't know where that came from.
Wow.
But like that, this idea of God's timing has deeply affected me. And I'm so curious about time, like how heaven's happening now and we're happening now, but there's no time equation there, but there is here. And God even told us, with me, that a day's like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know how quick life's happening here versus heaven. I mean, if our year goes so fast in our mind, we're like, oh my gosh, a year went by. Like they say, especially for young parents, they say the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
And so like time starts to, it seems, bend for us,
Yeah.
So I don't know what's really happening with time other than the seconds on my hand, but I do know that we think if God would do things in my time, I would have more joy.
Yeah.
And I confessed yesterday that at some point God made me aware that I was accusing him of being a bad steward of time. Mm-hmm. I'm like, God, if you would have done, why did you wait so long?
Yeah.
If you would have done this sooner, it would have been better for me and for you.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that God has not handled my time well. And we think, God, if you would do this in my timeline, yet, I mean, you would say it about your wife, I'd say it about my wife, we'd say it about kids, we'd say it about stuff. God is moving, his providence, he's moving people, place, and time. And if I would have done things in my time, looking back, it would have completely changed the trajectory of my life. So what we want to do is just follow God's time.
Yeah, trust his timing.
Yeah.
I think that's that's the antidote to this false idea, this false belief, is that you're going to have to go, all right, God knows what he's doing.
That's right.
I'm going to trust it. So,
we're going to have to roll through these next ones,
okay.
man. This has been good, but
I know if I only had a better, more of,
if I only had better of, more of,
I'd have joy. If I had more of this, better this, I'd have joy.
Yeah, and the truth on that one is joy is not dependent upon our possessions.
Right.
In verse 7, they laid him in a manger. There's no place for him in the inn. And, what we do know, we say Jehovah Jireh, our provider, and we take that to mean, God, give me what I want. Give me at least what I need and likely what I want. Generally, we're upset with God for not giving us what we want.
Right.
And, we think if I had more of what I wanted, or what I perceive I need, I'd have more joy.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, here comes joy stepping into a lack of possessions, a lack of pleasure, a lack of possessions,
right,
and even a lack of some basic needs here, of shelter,
right,
and healthy living environments. This is what blows my mind when I go around the world, and man, I have been in heartbreaking poverty situations. Yeah. And you want to see joy in its purest form. Go to some of these places, and the amount of joy that people have, and they have nothing, man.
Right.
And that will slap you in the face. And for us to think, if I could give my kids everything they wanted this Christmas, I'd have more joy, and they would have more joy. It's just not true. And so
that's right. You're right. It's not true.
I mean, I wrestle with that. I'm like, if I could give my kids everything they wanted this Christmas, And I love that they don't actually want so much.
Right.
But if I could give them everything that they wanted, then they would have more joy. It's not true.
Right.
And then if I had everything I wanted, I'd have more joy. And so, yeah, we got to believe that. And we'll go on. So,
and then
verse 8,
the next one, verse 8
I
was,
love it.
if I was well known, well respected, had more followers, I'd have joy. Yeah. This is the most timely one, I think, for our culture. Mm-hmm. If I had more followers, more well respected, then I'd have joy. And yet, this a lot of people. This is especially true with students.
Well, I mean, I really, it's especially true with a dude who's building his, fitness platform, or a mom who's trying to be another influencer. It's especially true with almost everybody now. And that gets us to verse 8 and 9. This announcement was made to shepherds in the fields, an angel appeared to them. And I just remind us what many of us already know, that these shepherds, if you go to Israel today and you go out to the Bedouin tribes, many of them are not educating their kids because they're like, hey, you're out there tending the flocks from the time you're young, man.
Yeah.
And so these are uneducated, and they likely were of a different culture, like we even see now, like shepherds were of a different culture. Not all of them, but they could have been. They were uneducated, almost for sure. Mm-hmm. They were probably very poor. They didn't hold a place in society. And I wrote, shepherds, leopards, prostitutes, and thieves, obscure and poor. Like, these are the people that God would often come to. And we think, if I was just more well-known,
right,
if I was more well-respected, if I had a greater platform, then I would have more joy. And, we see people, all of us see people with this.
Yeah.
And, I'm 1 degree away from people who have a lot more influence than I do, a lot more impact than I do. Their platforms are sizes mine. I'm not trying to get to, but I never could if I tried. And if my joy is dependent upon having as much notoriety, fame, impact as them, then I won't have joy.
Yeah.
And so I think we can easily start to compare ourselves to other people who are more well-known and think, I can't have as much significance, and therefore I don't have as much joy because I'm not more well-known. Mm-hmm. But Jesus is going to the more obscure. His plan wasn't usually, I like to say, he didn't work primarily on stages.
Right.
He worked primarily in small spaces.
Yeah.
And spiritual gifts were generally made for small spaces, not stages.
Right.
And I digress into one of the things the church has done is we've taken the spiritual gifts and we've used them for the stages instead of small spaces.
Yep.
And so I think we just need to realize that we can have absolute joy and still be obscure.
That's a powerful, and even if someone didn't have a ton of followers, they'd still be lovable. What you're talking about is there was probably less than 10 people that were really looking for the arrival of Jesus. Like Joseph and Mary, Elizabeth, Zechariah, Simeon in the temple.
That's right.
The wise men, Herod. Mm-hmm. Those are all at that time. Those are all the followers that Jesus had, and yet he was still deeply loved by God.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that if you didn't have a lot of followers, God would still love you.
Well, thank God for that.
Yeah,
because most of us don't.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we'll roll through the last three, and then we'll be done.
So, you basically just said, we search everywhere else and we waste our life. And we don't really find. We think joy is in all these other places and people and leadership. And you really said joy is dependent upon God bringing us joy. Like He's the ultimate source of it.
This is the gospel that we know. I bring you what you can't get for yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring you salvation. You cannot get it for yourself. Verse 11, I bring unto you the Savior, Christ Jesus the Lord.
Yeah.
And then verse 10, I bring you good news of great joy. Mm-hmm. So heaven had what earth had not. I'm going to bring you what you can't get for yourself. The gospel is, I can't get salvation for myself.
Yeah.
I can't undo my own sin. I can't pay my own price. I can't get to God. Wow. And so God's going to get to me. Yeah. He's going to bring me. And so, the angel is saying, I bring you. In verse 10, I bring you joy. In verse 11, I bring you the Savior.
Yeah.
So the gospel is, by God's grace, not by our works, I'm bringing this to you. this is why we might ever give presents at somebody's birthday or at Christmas to go, I'm giving you a gift because I love you.
Yeah.
And that is the purpose of this gift. I mean, God so loved the world that he gave. And so the gospel is what God brings to us. And God is bringing to us what we can't get for ourselves. And so if we think that we can get salvation ourselves, that's a real problem.
Yeah.
Verse 11 says, I'm going to bring you the Savior.
Yeah.
Similarly,
See it, yeah.
if we think that we can get joy for ourselves, that's a real problem. I mean, verse 10, I'm going to bring you joy.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you don't have it down there. Verse 11, I'm going to bring you salvation. Why?
Yeah.
You can't get it down there. And so I think the angel is telling us, I'm going to bring you what you don't have for yourself. So if we think we can get salvation down here on our own, we're in trouble. Similarly, if we think we can find joy somewhere here on our own, I think we're in a lot of trouble.
I think you're right. And I think especially during this season, I told someone the other day, one of the things I love about this season is that it exposes the emptiness of what people reach for to find joy.
It does.
Like the tinsel and the lights and the silliness and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And it's just becomes so obvious how empty it is.
Yeah.
And when you get to verses 10 and 11, you're really talking about the antidote, right? This is the antidote to
That's it.
joylessness. I mean, not having it. Jesus is the ultimate source. And then you ended by saying that really, if you want to have joy, we have to help other people find joy.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
the angel said, I'm going to bring it to you. The shepherds in the next passage,
Yep.
hey, I'm going to bring it to you. Like, they heard the message and they took it to other people. They were filled with great joy.
Yeah.
The great joy that we're going to find is we're going to press into Jesus more. Like, I did right. Jesus still has joy,
Yeah.
and he's still giving it out. Like, he hasn't lost any of it.
Yeah.
It's not running low. Jesus is still the source of joy. And so if you're losing joy, and we know that Jesus is the one bringing it to the world, we've got to go back. We've got to press into Jesus. We've got to reignite our love for him. We've got to pursue him. We've got to be closer to him. And I will say for me, I mean, the seasons of my life where I'm seeking Jesus the most is when I have the most peace and the most joy.
Wow.
I mean, Jesus is the source of it. It's not my ministry. It's not even my great marriage, which is great. It's not even my great family, which is great. It's not even other stuff in my life, which is great. Like, my greatest joy comes from my relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And then when I have that, I get even more joy when I bring other people into it.
Yeah.
I've gotten a couple of notes from some people this year who have said, hey, because of my relationship with you, I now know Christ.
Yeah.
And bro, like, those notes for me,
Yeah.
they're the best.
Yeah.
I get notes. I've gotten a lot of notes recently from our team, just of how much they love me or my long relationship with them. I mean, those things bring me a ton of joy. And for my birthday a few weeks ago, my kids all wrote some really special notes to me.
Wow.
And it meant a ton to me. I keep all of those. I have notes from our staff and other people that love me. I keep special ones here in my office. And
Yeah.
I have a box at home where I keep them from my kids. But when somebody tells me, I now know Jesus because of you, it's a different kind of joy.
Right.
I'm not saying it's greater than my kids loving me, whatever. I'm just saying it's a different aspect of joy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are missing a unique aspect of joy because they're not joining the long story of God that's bringing salvation to the world all around them.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think that, when you're talking, I think of that verse where it says that he gives us a joy that surpasses understanding. That what we're
Peace
saying
that passes understanding, yeah.
Yeah, that what we're saying today is that this joy can't be found in leadership or circumstances or emotions. It's only found in Jesus, and you really can't really discover it until you help someone else find Jesus. Till you actually, maybe the best thing some people do with their holiday is to help someone else know Christ and turn out.
Yeah, that's right. Step into that sharing of the gospel work. It'll unlock a whole new aspect of joy for you and purpose in life. I hear it from people all the time who they transitioned the purpose of their life to join the story of God, bringing people the gospel to people and people to the gospel. And now that's what they live for.
Yeah.
And I do want that. I do want that for other Christians. I want non-believers, non-followers, non-Christians. I want them to know the joy that only Jesus gives.
Yeah.
And then I want Christians to know the joy that you can only get by helping a non-Christian find Jesus.
That's right. And this is why you created Good God Gospel. This is why we have these things available, so that people can learn how to do this. How to share Jesus by having a good conversation that leads to a God conversation.
That's right.
That leads to a gospel conversation.
And
all that's available online. People can learn how to do.
Yeah, goodgodgospel.com. You know, John Piper said, evangelism exists because worship does not. Meaning, we evangelize because there are people in places who aren't worshiping Jesus. And I think, you know, evangelism exists because joy does not. You know,
Wow.
there are people who don't have joy, and we want them to have this joy that was promised in this passage that co-mingled our salvation. It accompanied our salvation, and then we get the greater joy. I mean, there is a ton of joy. You'll have more joy when you know Jesus.
Yeah.
You'll have more joy when you help people know Jesus.
Yeah.
Good conversation, Dave.
Really
Great
good.
passage. And
So much rich stuff in all this.
yeah, I mean, we could, you know, every one of these points is a little sermon in and of
really is.
itself.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for people to listen and press into these things. I mean, I'm having to do it for myself. I'm getting to do it for myself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, thank you. Hey, thanks for watching this. And if it's good for you, like it, subscribe to it, share it. If it's not good for you, what are you doing? Spend your time doing something else. But I hope it's been good for you. That's the only reason we're doing it. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And hey, if this is a tough season for you at Christmas, I get it. Statistics show that a lot of people are wrestling right now, especially during a season like this. And if that's you, I do hope that you have some people around you that can remind you of really where joy is coming from. But if nothing else, I hope you'll just spend some time with Jesus, even some things that we've learned in this passage today, and just know, man, you're so loved by the Lord that he would come after you, and he would step into this place in these tough circumstances, place himself under this government in a tough family situation because he loves you. Have a great week. See you soon. Thanks for spending time with us today on the Rethink and Return podcast. Here's all we ask from you. Will you subscribe to this, share this, let other people know about it? That'll help us get the message out. Share this content with other people if it's helpful to you. We're grateful for you. See you soon.